From NBC News, in partnership with Leadership Florida, the Florida Press Association, and Florida Public Broadcasting. This is a Decision 2008 special, the Republican Presidential Candidates Debate, from the K Performing Arts Auditorium at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. Here is Ryan Williams.
Good evening and welcome to the Republican Presidential Candidates Debate. This is, by the way, their last meeting before next week's Florida primary. There are a few people we would like to thank at the outset here, and we do so on behalf of everyone on our stage. First, our thanks to Leadership Florida, the Florida Press Association, Florida Public Broadcasting, and thanks to our wonderful hosts here at Florida Atlantic University for their efforts in making this evening possible and a success. Before we begin, a quick review of the rules we will be following tonight, or trying to, beginning with a word about time. Our televised debates normally run 2 hours. However, at the requests of the candidates and their campaigns, tonight's debate will be limited to 90 minutes duration. The candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to our questions. A series of lights will warn them time is running out. 30 seconds of rebuttal time may also be granted to a candidate at the discretion of the moderator. During one of our segments tonight, the candidates have been instructed to prepare one question to be asked of one of their opponents of their choosing. Joining me in the questioning tonight, my partner, our Washington Bureau Chief, the moderator of Meet the Press on NBC, Tim Russert, and representing the Florida Press Association, Paul Tash. Paul is the editor and chairman of the St. Petersburg Times. So to our candidates, gentlemen, welcome to you all. Thank you for being here, and let's begin. And Governor Romney, I thought we'd begin with you. The president just today signed off on this economic stimulus plan that would send out 116 million checks to American homes. The plan is somewhat contrary to yours, providing lots of short-term stimulus to individuals. Your plan, as you know, focuses as much on the long term as the short term. Are you disappointed that your recipe for the economy was not embraced by the president? And as a follow-up, will you now embrace his plan?
Well, there's a great deal that is effective in his plan. I just wish it went further. What's effective is, first, he's getting money back to consumers, and given the fact that 2/3 of our economy is a consumer economy, getting money back into the hands of our citizens, a lot of them paying a lot for gasoline, a lot for heating oil, a lot of people concerned about how to make ends meet. That makes sense to me. Mine was a little different. It had a permanent tax cut for people at the lowest income tax bracket. I also have a savings plan for individuals that allows folks who are making under $200,000 a year to save their money tax-free. No interest on interest, dividends, or capital gains. I guess we can get to that later, but his first start to help the consumers is a good start. I just think we need to go further. Secondly, we go to corporate support and helping corporations have the incentive to buy more capital equipment. That he also does. I do it more aggressively than he does by writing off a larger amount of capital expenditures, getting companies to, frankly, buy more stuff so that as they do so, that other companies will hire people. Because if you want to turn an economy around, the key thing is to grow jobs. It's not just to get checks in the hands of consumers. It's consumers buying things that creates jobs. It's companies buying things that create jobs. And then finally, his last leg is with regards to helping the FHA take on a broader array of homes that are in trouble, homeowners that are in trouble. And that's really very important, and I'm appreciative of the fact that the president took that step. We really have across the country a housing crisis, a mortgage crisis that seems to have spilled out into the entire economy. And the effect of this, of course, is to put a lot of pain against a lot of people. And so helping reverse the housing crisis is critical, and that's why expanding the FHA loan requirements, or excuse me, if you will, loosening those requirements and expanding the ability of FHA to help out homeowners will make a big difference. So net is something I support, and I look forward to taking it further.
And time is up, Governor. Senator McCain, will you support the part of this that does not make the Bush tax cuts permanent? And as the only member of the Senate on the stage, will you vote for this compromise?
Yes, I will, and I'm disappointed because I think it's very important that we make the Bush tax cuts permanent. I voted to make them permanent twice already. If people and businesses and families in America are now planning their 2010 budget, there's a great deal of uncertainty. And if we don't make the tax cuts permanent, then they will experience what amounts to a tax increase. I applaud the efforts and the rapidity with which apparently we are moving. But I also would make sure that not only the tax cuts are made permanent, but we cut corporate income taxes. That would keep businesses here, and it would keep jobs here and create jobs here. We pay the highest corporate income tax of any nation in the world except for Japan. I think that it would be very important that no pork barrel projects be added as this bill wins its way through the various committees of Congress. I worry about that. I worry that we're going to add pork barrel projects. I'm glad to see that we're going to allow people to expense new investments in equipment so they can write them off in a very short period of time. But I really think that that we have to understand that the rate cuts by Bernanke are a good beginning. Apparently the markets have stabilized a little bit, but we also need to continue to cut tax rates in America. And we also have to encourage savings, because if we don't restrain spending, then we're going to end up in the same position that we were in earlier, and that's with an economy that has very serious fiscal difficulties.
Senator, time is up. Mayor Giuliani, you've in the past supported a wide array of tax cuts. Do you think it's a mistake that they're not in this package?
I think this package, for what it does, is okay, and I would support it, but it doesn't go far enough. I think in the face of what's been going on, which obviously is a matter of serious concern, we should be very aggressive. Congressman Dreyer and Senator Bond introduced legislation, I think it was yesterday, that was my tax package. It would be the largest tax reduction in American history. It would take the Bush tax cuts, make them permanent, reduce the corporate tax, reduce the capital gains tax, reduce taxes on those things that would allow business to see America as more competitive. And you almost don't have a distinction any longer between temporary and permanent in the kind of an economy that we live in. Look at it this way. We're a competitive economy. We're competing with the rest of the world. If America overtaxes, if America overspends, if America overregulates, if America oversues, then business and jobs and money go elsewhere. And we're doing all four of those things. So Senator McCain is right. We have to put as much emphasis on reducing spending, and this has to be a permanent package. So I hope that this is the beginning of a dialogue where what will happen is major tax reductions, major reductions in spending on the civilian side, a real analysis of our regulations. Just how much business are we running out of the United States because of the excesses of Sarbanes-Oxley? There was a report a year ago that showed that London was going to pass New York as the financial capital of the world. As a New Yorker, that was troubling to me. But as an American, it should be troubling to everyone.
Mr. Mayor, time is up. The questioning continues with Tim Russer.
National security, the war in Iraq had been the dominant issue in the campaign until a few weeks ago. And now the economy has taken hold. Ask any of the voters, it's the economy. Senator McCain, you have said repeatedly, quote, I know a lot less about economics than I do about military and foreign policy issues. I still need to be educated. Is it a problem for your campaign that the economy is now the most important issue, one that, by your own acknowledgement, you are not well versed on?
Actually, I don't know where you got that quote from. I'm very well versed in economics. I was there at the Reagan Revolution. I was there when we enacted the first, or just after we enacted the first tax cuts and the restraints on spending. I was chairman of the Commerce Committee in the United States Senate, which addresses virtually every major economic issue that affects the United States of America. I'm very well versed on economics, and that's why I have the support of people like Jack Kemp, people like Phil Gramm, people like Warren Rudman, people like Doug Holtz-Akin, people like Marty Feldstein. That's why I have a strong team around me that respect my views and my vision. And that's why the Wall Street Journal, in a survey of economists recently, that the majority of economists thought that I could handle the nation's economy best. And I have been a consistent fighter to restrain spending and to cut taxes. And my credentials and my experience and my knowledge of these economic issues, I think, are extensive, and I would match them against anybody who's running.
You all describe yourself as tax cutters, and yet in your records, there are shortcomings on that issue. Governor Huckabee, are you comfortable with the fact that Governor Romney raised fees $250,000